Hey, Greg Catlin here with your last video for this week with your homework help for lesson 6 on unit 4. We're looking at these strategic ways to solve equations and thinking before maybe we start solving, just to kind of get an idea. Is my answer going to turn out to be positive, negative, or zero? So one of the first things I would recommend checking is to see if zero works. If I put 0 right here and I multiply 3 times 0, I get 0. And that would just leave me with -5 equals -3. 0 doesn't make this true when I plug it in there. So I got to think, okay, if 0 doesn't work, what kind of number, okay, just think of replacing this entire thing. Like, what kind of number -5 would get me to -3? And you might have to visualize the number line, okay? Like, where would I have to start, right, to end up at -3 after coming back 5, right? And so you're thinking, well, I got to be over here at like 2, right? My answer has got to be 2 for 3x. And what kind of number could I put in x's place to get 2, a positive 2? Well, it's got to be positive, and it's got to be like a positive fraction. Excuse me. And so, I'm expecting to get like a positive solution whenever I work that out. You don't have to actually work it out. I just need you to write down that you're going to get a positive answer because you're thinking about this before you start doing your steps. I know I'm going to get like a half or, something like that that's going to make it smaller but keep it positive. I don't need a negative and get more negative. I'm not going to be able to be at -3 from that spot. So, thinking about what your solution is going to be before you start working it out. Okay. Now, this next problem that we have down here is a doozy. We're not thinking about that one so much of what it's going to be because there's so many different parts to it. This really helps us more toward the end of our solution process. In problems like this, we need to really follow our steps. Number one, we need to go through here and add the opposites, right? We need to add the opposite. We need to add the opposites. Whenever we add the opposite here, this is going to make this entire thing negative, right? So this was already negative to start. So when I add this, it's going to make that opposite, and it's going to make that back to its opposite, which is a +3. Lots of sign changes are happening here. Okay. So when we distribute, like I did there, it distributes a sign change. And when we distribute here, it's going to distribute a -5 to those parts. So as I drop things down, after the distributive property, I'm going to get a -5x from multiplying those. And I'm going to get a -5 times a -1, which is going to give me a +5. And then I'm going to get x and then plus a -2x because I changed its sign when I distributed the minus. And subtracting a -3 is really like adding 3. So number 1, I added my opposite. Number 2, I distributed. Number 3, I'm looking to combine like terms. I've got an x over here with a -5x, which are going to make -4x's. When I combine those together, I've got an x, a 1x, and a -2x, which is going to give me a -1x plus 3. And now we're kind of getting into that step where, all right, this is what we've been doing. I got to get these x's on the same side. I've got to get these 5s and 3s together. I want to add 4x to get rid of this is my choice, which is going to leave me with 5 on the left. And adding 4x to this side, -1 plus 4, is going to give me 3x's. So that's where I would go next. And then I'm going to get rid of this 3 by subtracting 3 from both sides, which is going to give me 5 minus 3, 2. Gives me 3x. And then to get my answer, I just got to divide both sides by 3. And I'll have my answer. And whenever I divide 2 by 3, I get 2/3. So there's my solution for that problem. I got 2/3 for x, positive for that answer. Be ready for that quiz tomorrow. I don't think I've got one with that many sign changes, but you should be able, guys, to solve. I'm going to give you an example of one that you should be able to solve. You should be able to solve something like what Lynn has here, maybe something like that. Also, this one right here that we did the other day and checked it, this half distributed and then worked out. Okay, different things like that. Spotting other people's mistakes as they work through their problem and solve it. That kind of stuff is what I'm looking for you to be able to do. I'm not going to have a lot of fractional things on there, but that's coming. So Be prepared to show that you know how to solve an equation that has variables on both sides. There are some diagram kind of things on there with the hangers, so be prepared for that. Nothing that we haven't discussed or practiced in class. You guys should be okay if you've been following along, doing the homework, practicing, and listening in class and participating. Those are the ones that shine on the quizzes, those that put in the work. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I won't see you after that because it'll be Thanksgiving. So have a great break.